You're with the Foamy Heads.
Oh, man.
Guess I don't need this.
No, that one's done. There we go.
Rest in peace. That was the beer I had before we left.
Ben had beer.
Ben had beer.
Yeah.
Wait, are we on?
Yeah, I went ahead and just started recording.
Shit. Okay. Welcome to another episode of the Foamy Heads. You're on the mic with Mitch and Rich today.
That's right.
We've been drinking a little bit already.
Yeah, we've had a couple good ones. A couple of stouts, I suppose.
We got back. We just had lunch.
Mm.
There's a real good place in Hendersonville that does good, like, Thai, Laotian type food, and they surprisingly have a really good beer selection too.
Yeah, they don't disappoint.
No.
The owners know how to and where to get their beer kind of thing. You know, they know what it's about. The menus make sense.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's kind of cool because it kind of just hides away. You don't really think about it, and then you just show up to the place and they've got a ton of stuff on tap, and then they've got this huge selection of can and bottled beer. And it's never the ones that are like the stuff that you can get in a Publix or a Kroger or whatever. It's always like the one-offs that they do. Like we had Bamboozled over the weekend, right? Which is the triple IPA from Bearded Iris. And they had it on their cans list today, which was kind of cool. It was expensive.
It is.
You know, $10 for a can and whatnot, but they had it. So it was kind of cool that they just get these one-offs and then they just store them. And that's kind of Hendersonville's little gem for going in and getting beers.
It really is. We had a Black Abbey Metatron last night from there. It's a sour beer.
I think I saw you check that in on your Untapped.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
We started with the dark, then we hit IPA, Bearded Iris, Bamboozle, and Double Scatterbrain.
Yep.
And then my boss and I were talking beer, and we're figuring out what our next beer would be. We're like, we can't really go back to the stouts because our throat's been, layered and all sorts of resin and
you had hops and sours and all that already. You can't go back. Yeah.
So we decided to go ahead and try a sour, and the Metatron had multiple things going for it. It had some barrel age to it. It had different yeasts and strains and whatnot, and like several different hop varieties too. It was weird. It almost sounds like an abomination.
I don't know if I could get down with the sour, hoppy, and all that kind of stuff, but you seem to really enjoy it.
It was smooth for a sour.
Yeah.
I was not disappointed. I was like, this is it. So you've had Yazoo's like funk one.
Uh-huh. The Embrace of Funk.
It was a little more mild than that.
Okay. So this one wasn't funky.
It wasn't funky. It was just more tart and kind of puts on that sour front.
I can do some tart.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with some tart beers. I just don't like when it's like super sour. Like kettle sours seem to be okay for me, but once you start getting real funky and weird tasting, and once it goes like really sour, that's when I just get turned off.
I wish I could remember the sour beers I had during Yazoo's first Embrace the Funk. Because people brought stuff out of the woodworks from all over, and some of it was just rank.
Well, and then even then, Yazoo has totally embraced that. We talk about Yazoo just kind of being complacent. They're the Nashville brewery. Like, they are the Nashville brewery that people talk about when they come from out of town, because Yazoo's like the one that's been here for a long time, and they're the biggest. And they've got some people catching up to them, but we talk a lot of shit about Yazoo just like keeping with their basis. They're not really doing a lot of stuff, but they're Embrace the Funk. I mean, they've really just gone that direction and just gone off into the funky and the sour beers.
Yeah.
So you got to give them credit for that.
And they're rocking it from what I hear. So I think they're going to be sticking with that for years to come.
Now, that Black Abbey that you had, was that a kind of like a limited release, or was that something that they were going to start putting on tap regularly? Because it looked like it was one of those bottles when you checked it in. It had like the handwriting, and the marker on the label. Like, it wasn't going to be something that was always around.
It was. I think it stopped 2 years ago. So they've had this for a while. I want to say it was a 2000 either 16 or 17, maybe. Maybe I don't know when they got it in their hands, but they told me it's been there for over 2 years.
And Blossom Cellar Door, they've done that. They've done that before. Because remember last time when we were at the tap takeover for
St. Bernardus,
or St. Bernardus, there was some kettle sour or something. It might have been a farmhouse ale that they had been aging for a couple of years now, and they just brought it out. It was just sitting in the back of the fridge.
They just found it.
So not only do these guys just like keep bringing in new beers and stuff, but they also realize that when they see a beer that they want to age, they go, okay, we're going to hold on to that, and then they just gave it to us, right?
Yeah.
I mean the rep that was there that night purchased it for us and just poured it amongst all three of us. So that was a good time.
It was a farmhouse ale of some sort.
I think it was. Yeah, it was not bad. It's just not my style of beer.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm not a farmhouse or a sour guy. Like saisons, I'm okay with as long as they're not too funky and too tart.
Yeah. I'm still getting used to them being a tart, more so tart beer, because when I first got into saisons, they were not.
No.
So it somehow the field changed without me knowing it, but
or maybe it was that all along, and we just kind of had something else. But whatever, it is what it is. What are we drinking though?
That's the real question here.
Blot over the sun. Blot out the sun.
Blot
from
out the
Three
sun.
Floyds.
It looks good, dude.
Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit different today because we don't really have a ton to talk about in terms of like different topics, other than the fact that we went to Atlanta a couple of weekends ago and had some really good beers.
Yeah.
So we just kind of want to run through that today, and while we're doing that, we're just going to kind of drink some beer and enjoy it as we go.
Yeah. So in spirit of just traveling and drinking, we've got this that we picked up from Three Floyds while we went to their Dark Lord Day.
Yep.
So Blot Out the Sun's an Imperial Stout.
Yeah.
I can't really read the writing here.
10.4% ABV.
Yeah.
And 97 IBU. So I'm really not sure what I'm expecting here because Three Floyds, for one, you just never know what kind of beer you're going to get when you're drinking something for the first time. They're just always off the charts. They always do weird things. And 97 IBUs for a stout, that seems a little hoppy to me. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know what I'm expecting, but they actually advertise this on their site, and it's also on their Untapped. It's a quote from Montgomery Burns that says, "Since the dawn of time, it has been mankind's dream to blot out the sun." So I think that's kind of the feel that they're going for. I mean, this is super dark, super heavy. It doesn't emit a lot of light. It's just going to be. I'm expecting this to be motor oil when you pour it.
Oh.
So I'm interested. Go ahead, pop that open. Yeah.
Huh. It smells hoppy.
Really?
It does. So that's kind of interesting.
Huh. Looks good. There's not real much of a foamy head to it. It just kind of pours like it's super carbonated, but it backs down real quick. Pours like some motor oil, but then it just dissipates real quick. It doesn't look as thick as I was expecting it to.
Definitely not as thick. It's definitely kind of viscous.
Mm-hmm. That'll be good. Gotta get that even pour in. There we go. I'm excited to try this, mainly because, thank you, I get the good glass. Yeah.
It's a fancy.
I like Three Floyds. We talk about them all the time. When we went to Dark Lord Day, we did a podcast a few episodes back on that. Dark Lord Day was just kind of like the beer event to beat. It's very difficult to come up with something better than that. And to be honest, I have not been. When we went last year, DJ and I went last year, and I had not been to another beer festival since then. And then Dark Lord Day came up again, and you went with us, and then we had another guest as well.
Yes.
So it was you, me, DJ, and I can't remember his name, but he went with us as well. Yeah. So it was four of us. I still haven't been to another beer fest. Beer fest. It's just going to be hard to beat Dark Lord Day.
It is. It's just such a good time.
Yeah. Ooh, you're right. It does smell hoppy.
Yeah, it's weird.
It smells. Well, I mean, and that's just a bottle. It smells like an IPA.
That made me jump. I took a big sniff of the beer.
This is super weird because I'm not expecting. when this was being poured, I was expecting it to be like boozy and chocolatey and maybe coffee or whatever, but all I smell is hops.
Yeah. You think that's that 95 IBU?
Maybe. This smells like a hoppy, kind of a malty IPA.
I hope it doesn't blot out my sun.
Yeah. Should we get into it?
Let's do this. Damn, that smells hoppy. All right.
That tastes exactly like it smells.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's extremely bitter. It's extremely hoppy, but then there's a little bit of...
Stout musk.
What is that? Stout musk?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a little bit of stout musk on the end. I don't know what that is. I don't want to call it coffee, and I don't want to call it bitter chocolate, but it's something...
I mean, it's got to have chocolate in it,
yeah,
right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Shit. I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting because it's kind of... It's got a little bit of smoke, it feels like to me, but I think that's the hops kind of playing tricks on my palate
Probably.
with the dark.
Yeah.
I may just be wishing that's what it was.
It's super like... It's not what I was expecting.
No, not at all.
I mean, when we're looking at it, when we're looking at the description, when we're looking at the ABV, I'm expecting super boozy, super chocolatey and strong and dark, and it is kind of all that, but except boozy. It's not overly boozy, and it's really hoppy. Like, it's bitter.
Yeah, it is. It's
I
a
wasn't
good
expecting
bitter
that.
too.
Yeah, I really like that.
Dark bitter. So we've had like black IPAs or whatever.
Yeah,
and they haven't come close to this.
This is not that.
Yeah.
No, this is not that. Black IPAs for me, just Cascadian dark ales is kind of another term for them. It's just not my thing. I don't like... If it's going to be an IPA, it's either got to be really sweet and hazy, or it's got to be really dank and bitter for me.
Right.
Black IPAs sit right in the middle where it leaves you wanting more, and you're disappointed from... At least I am, because when I look at it, I'm expecting one taste, and then I taste it and I get another. But it never really... I never fully commit to one side of that fence, so it's just like... I always leave disappointed with a black IPA.
Yeah. I haven't had one that I raved about and wanted to get again.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed the ones I've had. It's just... They leave something wanting. I don't know what it... Exactly for me, but...
I think this is really good, though. To be honest, though, I'd say... What do you think? Let's grab a rinse real quick and then kind of continue sipping on this. And then let's get into our next topic of conversation, which is our Atlanta trip.
Yeah.
With all the different breweries that we've been to.
Yes. All right. Well, we're going to go for a rinse.
We'll be right back. Thanks for checking out the Foamy Heads podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and even Twitter. Feel free to drop us a line about the show with any questions or suggestions. Do it.
And we're back.
Let's talk Atlanta breweries.
Man, that was such a good time.
Good trip. I'm from Atlanta originally, but I haven't been back there in God knows how long. I mean, we moved out from Atlanta and into Nashville when I was 10 years old. So craft beer wasn't a thing, 20 years ago, 24 years ago. And now all of a sudden, when we went back, we scored ourselves an Airbnb and just kind of stayed downtown, and it's starting to pop up everywhere.
Man, yeah.
I was really excited for. I gotta admit, I had a little bit of an agenda. I wanted to hit a couple of different places, but it seemed like the places we didn't intend to go, ended up being the better ones,
for sure. And after talking to 2 or 3 breweries, we found finally like a couple people that were serving drinks that knew the local scene.
Yeah.
And they gave us kind of the tips to, you should go here.
Because we had an agenda. We were like, we're going to hit these places. We started hitting them, and they were fun.
Yeah.
By any means, but we quickly, diverted from that and just started following whatever the locals were saying.
Yeah.
And that ended up being the better time.
It was.
In the end. Good food, good breweries.
Yeah.
Where'd we start out at?
I think we started at the Vortex.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Because they had like Atlanta Brewing Company beers that were signature to the burger joint.
Yeah.
So
I think I tried both of them. Are you talking about was it the Laughing Skull?
Yes.
The Amber, and then they also had I
think it was a lager.
Might have been a lager. Both super easy drinking.
Yes.
The amber was solid. I really enjoyed the amber beer.
Yeah.
Nice and red. It wasn't too heavy. But it wasn't dark, but it was real caramely. It really fit the space really well.
It did. I remember those beers not being that great, but I think when I went to the Vortex years ago, I was already drinking, and I went for another like 10 to 12% beer they just happened to have. And then I went towards the lager.
It's going to taste like water after that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we started here because we got our food in and we were able to have some lighter beers.
Those burgers were so good, too.
Yes.
Having a burger with barbecue pulled pork on top and cheese and bacon and tater tot, it was ridiculous. Like,
yes.
I wasn't able to I'm a big guy. I was not able to finish my burger. I just couldn't do it.
Well, that was a lot of food on it, too. Like,
yeah.
There's just no way you could probably feel good after eating that in beers, you know.
But
so
we
you
needed
made a smart
that
choice.
because,
yeah.
you know, a lot of calories, a lot of protein, because from there we decided to start kind of like the beer trend the list of breweries that we wanted to visit while we were in Atlanta. And where did we go first?
New Realm
Brewing.
Yes.
You even made a comment when we walked in, and it was very odd because you ended up being right.
Yeah.
You walked in and you said what?
This gives me the same feeling of being in a Stone Brewing. Yes.
Exactly.
Because they have, when you walk into a Stone Brewing facility, there's a lot of like slab that's organically kind of cut to look and feel organic. So you got huge wooden things that they just cut, polish, and then slap as a countertop.
Yeah.
But you also got the stone because of Stone Brewing. So it's like this, they try to make it, I don't know what the right term is for it, but the aesthetic is thick, like heavy foundation, industrial, but clean, sophisticated. It's a weird mix of
It was
stuff.
a Stone Brewing feel.
Yes.
And when we walked in, you were just like, this feels like I'm at Stone Brewing.
Yes.
And it was really funny that you mentioned that because we sat, at the bar, right?
Yeah, we sat at the bar, yeah.
And we got a flight. First of all, the flights were really cool looking. Like, they came in like this basket almost that had, I think we posted a picture to our Foamy Heads Instagram page. So it's an interesting picture, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. And we sat up at the bar, and you made the comment. And then, what did you overhear somebody, or did you ask the question? How did this come out? Because we found out that was it the brewmaster?
One of the one of the guys, bartenders there, heard us talking, and I think I don't think they heard me question Stone stuff.
Okay.
But I think we did end up working our way to a conversation of where did New Realms come from?
Right.
And they're like, oh, a guy left Stone Brewery to do his own thing, one of the head brewers. So apparently, I think it's like from the Carolinas, I think is where he went. And Atlanta's like the second location.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
But
it just happened to be from Stone.
Yeah. You called it, though. So that was real interesting. And their beers, their IPAs were super hazy.
Yep.
They weren't over the top hoppy. Some of them were kind of dank.
Yep.
But I think, to me, there were a couple of really clear winners. But their Oktoberfest, their Marzen, was really good.
Yes.
Bavarian Prince. We ended up buying a 6-pack of that and taking that back with us because that was kind of like the quote-unquote winner that we wanted to take something back from that brewery back to the house.
Yes.
That was a really good one. And then, gosh, what else did we have? We had a couple of stouts, too. Their Oteria Stout was really good, real heavy, kind of oaty. And then their hazy like a fox, I think was what it was called. Was like their hazy IPA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, I think, was one of my favorites out of the 6 or 7 we had.
Well, it's definitely one of mine because it had that was the one that had the El Dorado hops in it. And I love El Dorado hops. So very, very grapefruity, very kind of refreshing melony. That's kind of what El Dorado hops takes on. But they had quite a few different beers there. God, there was one that was super Hoplandia. That was what it called. It was real dank, real skunky. And almost tasted like a hemp style IPA.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was really good. But I think we each had like 5 or 6 of them there.
Yeah, we did.
At New Realm.
Yep.
Yeah.
We started pretty heavy right off the get go. After having a burger, we went with a full flight.
Yep.
And it was a good time. Here he is, Brewmaster Mitch Steele.
His name's Mitch.
Yes.
Huh.
COO and co-founder.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just so funny.
Widely respected for his award-winning talent brewing great innovative beers for just the right time. Authoring IPA brewing techniques, recipes, and evolution of IPAs, and the Hop Tripper blog. That'd be interesting. We probably need to check that out.
Definitely.
That's something I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind looking into.
Hot trip.
This was the guy from Stone?
Yep.
Okay. Brewmaster and co-founder
Yes.
of New Realm Brewing.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
None of the other names sound familiar because I think Mitch Steele is also featured in a book that we've got about home brewing and how to match styles.
Okay.
I think he talks about a IPA that he did. But
that was, I mean, it was,
yeah.
I enjoyed that brewery. I think that was a strong start.
Yeah.
Where we went next, if I could just go ahead and just jump over to where we went next, we ended up going to Torched Hop Brewing, and we got there. Did we find that on Google? I guess it was. Yeah, that was on our list of places to. It wasn't originally on the list of places we were gonna go to, but we're like, hey, Torched Hop sounds good.
It was. I think we found it the night before we started making our trek.
Yeah,
and it was in the list and running. And it also turned out it was only about 5 or 10 minutes away from New Realm.
So it kind of seemed like the next place to go in our trip. And it was really good. I mean, we walked in, and first Nintendo 64 on the ground for the kids to play in and all that. That was super cool.
And they had Smash Brothers hooked up.
It was perfect. It was so good. I loved their art. I loved kind of like the ambience when we walked in. It was just a cool place to hang out. And we saw that they had a triple IPA on tap called Aliens on Moonshine.
Yes.
And we tasted it, and it was really, really good. But that wasn't what we had that day.
No, we were swayed.
Yeah. We ended up... you bought a 32-ounce growler of that to take back with us. So we got to enjoy that back home here in Nashville after the fact. But the two that we ended up having were... like a barrel-aged,
here's one.
The Cloud That Hides the Sun.
That was their Imperial Stout.
12.9%.
That thing was insane.
It was ridiculous. That wasn't the barrel-aged one, was it?
No.
Okay.
But there was one, and I'm trying to remember.
I've got it right here. Wasted Breath
by
Torched Hop. Now, that was the barrel-aged one. But the Cloud That Hides the Sun that you just pulled up on the projector was the one that kind of had like raisin and vanilla and those kind of flavors, and that was extremely complex.
It was so good.
12.9% ABV. Like, it was a heavy hitter. I think we did half pours.
We did.
Okay, that's right. And it was extreme. I ended up giving that let's see, I have to go back and look at my Untappd to see when we had that or what I had. Oh crap, I lost my view.
It was awesome because we had those two, and we sipped on those because they were so rich, complex, delicious, and those are ones you want to taste as they warm up.
And we were there for an hour, at least, sipping on 2 half pours.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
The bartender also was super personable. He was able to tell us where to go next or the next day as long as we have time. One hint from him was the porter.
Oh, that's where we ended up going for lunch the next day.
Yeah.
They had some good selections too. And the bartender that was there, very knowledgeable. He had been there for every single anniversary party for the last 11 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, and apparently the next weekend was the time to do craft beer everywhere.
Because they were just completely changing out all their taps. It was their anniversary party, and everybody was going to be doing all kinds of different beers.
Yeah.
That was good. Torched Hop was great. Do you remember which one the winner was out of the two? Was it the barrel-aged one, the Wasted Breath, or was it the Cloud That Hides the Sun?
I think we liked them for different reasons.
Okay.
In the end. If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Cloud That Hides the Sun because of all the flavor.
Yep.
The barrel-aged one was super boozy, but it also had that heavy hits of just flavor that moved throughout your experience with it.
That was the one that was aged in, I think, the Jack Daniel's, the Tennessee whiskey barrels.
Yep.
5 on Untapped, but I gave a 4 to the Cloud That Hides the Sun because I think that was my favorite out of the two.
That was a damn good Imperial Stout. I have not had one like
Porter.
Yes.
The Porter House, the Porter Bar.
Yeah, the Porter
beer tap room.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up. I can't remember what it was.
I got it here. Beer bar. Porter
beer bar. Okay. That was a real good time. Real good place to have brunch. The day after, we drank a lot of beer while we were there. And it was just kind of like a good place. It had really good food. It had good beers to kind of like taper off and be like, we're finishing up our beercation.
Yes.
We're just going to have a couple of beers there to finich off the trip.
Gosh, we got there right before the crowd started moving in because it's a small place. But
yeah.
The bar was perfect to be at like 11:30.
Yep. We were the only ones there for a while.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So we left... we ended up leaving Torched Hop, and we had our growler with us of that Aliens on Moonshine triple IPA. And then we ended up going to... where did we go
garage?
next? That's where we ended up going to. Monday Night Brewing, probably one of my favorite breweries in Atlanta. I mean, I just love everything that we get here.
Yeah.
I like. All their IPAs are good. Their Drafty Kilt Scotch Ale's solid.
Yeah.
Just even the most simplistic beers that they make are really good. I was really looking forward to going to this location, but the funny thing about that, they have two locations.
They do.
They had their home base, and then they had the garage location, which is where we went to.
Yep.
Right? We went to that spot.
It just sounded cooler, so we decided to chance it because they're at separate ends of Atlanta, north and south.
Yeah. And I don't know. The location, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt first. The location was awesome.
Yes.
Like, the garage was super cool. We posted a few pictures on our Foamy Heads Instagram page of the garage location. It was just super industrial. It was really fun. What was the barbecue place that was in there? Das Barbecue or something like that.
Yeah, Das Barbecue, I think
it just wasn't really...
Yeah.
Customer service wasn't all that great. It was just a little food truck. What do you want?
Yeah.
It's basically what we were asked. That was okay, though.
I like the idea of if you have a food truck and it's a dedicated place, I guess, because it's like every day is Das Barbecue. They pulled in and parked the truck there. So I guess it's just a permanent truck inside it to make it more garage-like at this point, but it was a nice aesthetic.
Yeah.
And they've got a big door that separates the brewery from the user space, or visitor space, I should say.
Yep.
And good crowd, too.
It was definitely busy. Made some good friends while we were there talking, just kind of met other follow beer acquaintances and whatnot. So
a few babies got their drink on.
Yeah, that was a little odd just to see somebody bust out and start breastfeeding right in the middle of nowhere. Hey, that's fine. 2019. Do what you want to do, right? I wasn't offended by any means, but at the same time, it's just weird to see somebody so loosely just able to just bust out of their shirt and just start doing their thing.
Sunday fun day.
That's right.
I don't remember. It was probably Saturday, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was definitely Saturday.
Yeah.
Because on Sundays when we ended up going to the Porter Beer Bar. But I mean, it was good.
They were super nice too. They just talked beer the whole time.
Yeah. And we both had the apple cinnamon, the bourbon barrel aged Drafty Kilt apple cinnamon.
Ooh.
And
that was a weird one.
It was super weird because their Drafty Kilt is their Scotch ale and it's really good.
Yeah.
And if you're going to put it in a bourbon barrel aged, I'm totally fine with that. If you're going to add some spice to it, I'm totally fine with it. But they put both of them in there together and it just didn't seem to mix very well.
Yeah.
And I think you had the same feeling as I did because I was like,
It competed.
Yeah. Nothing ever really meshed well, did it?
And it just did not work out.
I really wanted to like that beer.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't do it. And then I ended up going with, I can't remember what it was. It might have been.
We moved to an IPA.
Yeah, I had an IPA, and then, let's see. I'm looking for yours right now. Drafty Kilt, there it is. Wasted Breath, that was at Torched Hop. Bourbon Barrel Aged Drafty Kilt. You didn't check in your other beer,
Well,
so I don't remember what
it's
you
classic
had.
me then. I had to go back. But
I remember that. Because right next door.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did look at, I'm on a boat, Golden Ale. I'm not seeing the choice I made on there. Oh, yeah.
So you'd probably have to look it up.
Oh, yeah, they did have the Brevis and Brett had, but I did not get it because it's a sour.
Sour IPA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was okay. We only had a couple of beers there, and it just wasn't...
Yeah.
It wasn't what we were expecting. Like, I was super excited to try Monday Night Brewing, and I'm glad we went, but the beer itself just wasn't, it wasn't anything. I think at this point, Torch Top was probably, like...
That was awesome.
The best location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I went probably with either Lundy IPA or Slap Fight.
Okay.
I went with one of those.
It might have been Slap Fight. That might have been the one you had, because that one sounded familiar to me.
Yeah.
And then from there, right next door, the last place we ended up going to was not a brewery.
Yeah.
It was, what was it called?
ASW Distillery.
It was a whiskey and bourbon tap room, so to speak.
Yeah, and we had Tire Fire there, and a few other. I think there was a Monday Night bourbon or whiskey that we had.
Yep, that was that they had there, and there was one other one that I had, but I think the Tire Fire, wasn't that our bartender's choice?
Holy crap, that was enough.
I'm pulling up. I'm seeing if I can scroll back through my pictures to see if I can find the.
So here's the one I think I got was the Burns Night. I think was the single malt whiskey.
Okay.
I think I had the Burns Night.
I had the one.
The Fiddler?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the one that I had. And then we both had, did we both have the Monday Night
Yes.
single malt whiskey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was kind of in spirit, we went to Monday Night, let's have that too.
Yeah.
It was one of their kind of more featured kind of whiskey or bourbons to have. What is it? I guess it was a lot more whiskey.
All whiskey.
The Tire Fire was super peaty. I feel like he should have a higher title with his knowledge.
That was his favorite.
Nuts. Yeah, the Charred Oak. And he even gave us a history lesson about what you sorts of neat details. Token system, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah. One token got you a shot of something.
Yeah.
2 tokens got you a drink. It just seemed a little too confusing. Keep pouring drinks.
Right. The token system.
And if you wanted to get another drink, you couldn't just buy it at the bar where you're sitting. You had to get up, walk over the token, hope you don't lose your seat, come back, and then give the same bartender the token where you're sitting so he pours your drink.
Yeah.
I guess I understand it's kind of a way for them to keep up with how many tokens they give out, and that's fine. But
at that point, you might as well just tell the front desk to hand out these bracelets that people put on, and they pay a fee to get in, like a cover charge that covers the cost of however many tokens that you would need to make a profit or whatever. There's a better way. And then you just NFC charge everything or something. But
it just seems like they were trying a little too hard to be something that they didn't need to be.
Just use credit cards. I don't know. It's just...
It was a good trip, though.
It was. Nothing but a good experience there. Everyone was super nice, knowledgeable, more than happy to talk and tour with you.
Beers, and whiskey.
Dude, it was a good weekend.
Basically was the name of the game.
Yeah.
There were quite a few other breweries that I think we want to visit, but we're going to probably take another trip back to Atlanta.
Yep. The one I wanted to see Sabbath.
They weren't open.
No.
Yeah, and we couldn't. You really couldn't find anything on them.
There's not much talk about them other than they're a nano or micro brewery. They're their own thing. And the guy broke off from somewhere to do his own thing. Last name to sign up for a newsletter or some shit. And
did you try reaching out to them?
I did.
No response.
Doing something. I don't know when, where, what, but they've got all sorts of what happens and when they open. So
and they're going to be mainly a saison and farm.
I look forward to.
Yeah. We'll have to go check them out. Maybe they'll be open next time we hit Atlanta.
Hope so.
Yep.
Love Atlanta. But
I say we go for a rinse.
Hey guys, thanks for checking us out on the Foamy Heads podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Feel free to drop us a line about the show with any questions or beer suggestions. We're back.
That was a good discussion.
That was. It was a good time in Atlanta, and Real quick, we
Yeah.
did drink that IPA that we bought from Scorched Hot, the triple IPA.
Yes, the Aliens on Moonshine.
Yes.
So I have reserves about that. I think that it was really, really good. I think that something happened between the time that they poured it in the growler until the time that we drank it this last weekend, because it seemed like it had flattened out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it could have been just the fact that we had it a week
True.
after that they had put it in the growler, but they sealed it pretty well. So I kind of thought that wasn't going to be the case.
Right. Yeah. That's a hard thing to know.
Mm-hmm. But it was still really good.
Yeah.
Triple. What was the ABV on that? It was like
9, right? 9.
Yeah, they called it a triple IPA, and it was definitely high ABV. But we've had some Imperials and doubles that were kind of in that same realm. Aliens on Moonshine from Torch Top Brewing Company. Yeah, 9.7%. I ended up giving it what did I give it? I gave it a 3.75. I think if I were to have it on draft, I would have given it a lot higher marks.
Yeah.
But the fact that it sat in the growler for a week in our fridge, and I think it kind of lost some carbonation, I think there was a little character that was lost in it.
Yeah. I still enjoyed it overall.
It was very good.
Yeah. I can't recall how it tasted. I just know it was good off the tap.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess so. It was a little flat. The head wasn't really there.
Yeah, just when we poured it, we're like, something doesn't look right.
Right.
Yeah.
But everyone still liked it.
Yeah, it was a great beer. I'm glad we got a chance to bring it back, a piece of Atlanta back with us. And it was a good time. And let's talk about this beer, the Blot Out the Sun, that we've been sipping on throughout the event today, throughout the podcast from Three Floyds.
Yeah.
What's your take on that one?
It's weird.
Yeah.
I like it. But it's not my favorite, and it's not the worst thing I've had either. So I really enjoy it for the expectations I had.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be dark, imperial stout, I thought it was bringing the dark game, but it was super bitter. It was more of a hoppy game to it. So
it did sweeten up a little bit as it got warmer.
Yeah.
I'm glad for that, because if it were just like we were tasting it when it was cold, not that it would have been extremely difficult to get through it the whole time, but it would have at least... It was a little bit more enjoyable as it warmed up. It kind of became more of a stout, but it definitely still had that hop forward profile to it.
I'm at my last dregs here.
Yeah.
And you definitely get more of that stout presence at this point since it's warmed up. But
it was good, though. I mean, I'm glad, we'd been drinking a lot today beforehand, and then some at lunchtime, and then we got here. So it was kind of like, it was good to be able to just kind of reminisce about our trip from Atlanta and just sip on a beer as we're going through our podcast session today.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. But you know what? I have no reservations. I'm glad I tried the beer. I'm glad we got to drink a lot of the beers that we had today. If you're not following us on our social media pages, actually check us out. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're just look up for us on the Foamy Heads.
Yep.
We're probably posting mostly on Instagram right now, but unique articles will be posting to Twitter. Checking in on places on Facebook. So if you have all those social medias, just make sure to check us out on.
Definitely, and we have bought a domain for a website. We're in the middle of building it. So look forward to checking us out there, seeing our recent posts, and we're going to plug into all our different profiles for streaming. So most likely Spotify seems to be the biggest one right now, with Apple Podcast as well. So check us out, find us, see what we're about. Let us know what you think.
It'll be a good time. And if you're not drinking craft beer, start drinking craft beer. If you've been drinking craft beer, keep drinking craft beer. And if you've never tried craft beer before, I got nothing. Just try craft beer.
Yeah, just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Check us out at thefoamyheads.com. That's what the domain is, by the way.
At some point in the future.
Yeah, we'll get better at this as we go along. Everything's still coming up. So.
We'll see you guys next time.
Later. Cheers. Hey, we out here on social media.
Oh, shit.